Hi, my name is Janet Sy, and I want to welcome you to Tuesday's Manna, where I'm reading from the book that I wrote, No Time for the Gospel. Chapter 36, Planting and Plucking. I had started a rose garden when we lived in another state. At our present home, I wanted to have roses once again. We decided that rather than buy prepackaged roses, we would purchase the already grown roses. We were given specific instructions as to the care of the roses once we got them home. I determined that this time the roses would not die but thrive. My roses would be a thing of beauty. My husband and I planted and put the 2 plants in the ground. We added a product I had found on the shelf that was supposed to be good for newly planted roses. I was so excited. I envisioned just how they would look. I was devastated later when my roses appeared to be on death row. I couldn't believe it. How could one of the plants droop like that? I immediately turned to God and asked Him to forgive me for my pride, my conceit regarding the roses. I told Him if He would just save them, I would not be so prideful. I went to bed full of sorrow. The next morning, I quickly grabbed my housecoat and went to check on my roses. I couldn't believe it. That rose bush was gorgeous. The color was vibrant. More buds appeared to be opening. I call that yellow rose my miracle rose. It was dying and now it was full of life. My joy turned to sorrow once again as later that day I looked at the rose and it was curled over again. What happened to my miracle? I started reading up on roses and found that I had 2 options. I could pluck the dead-looking flower, or I could get water to the roots. I chose to get water to the roots. Once again, the next morning, those beauties were back. Finally, we understood that this rose required a different water scheduling. A time to plant and a time to pluck what is planted. Ecclesiastes 3:2. I thought about planting and plucking as it applied to my life. Trying to grow my Christian experience without nutrients would cause me to curl up, wither, and die spiritually. When God planted the garden in Eden, He had a river to water the garden. He knew to sustain the garden it required water. He also had Adam to work and take care of the garden. Adam's job was to adjust anything that interfered with the growth and beauty of the garden. God knows what nutrients I will need to grow spiritually. He knows what needs to be plucked by the Holy Spirit so that I will be like Him. Any thoughts that distract me from Jesus is a thought that needs to be plucked. Planting and plucking is a work of a lifetime. In the hands of the master gardener, we will be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth its fruit in its season. Psalms 1:3. The relevant scriptures are Ecclesiastes 3:2, Psalms 1:1-6. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe.